Good afternoon, folks. I'm back. I thought I would talk a little bit about some points that I made in my last video that maybe need some kind of clarification. I know sometimes I speak of things and people might not understand right away. I only try to impart wisdom and knowledge that I have gathered through the years. I am an elder. And that could be in terms of wisdom. That doesn't necessarily have to be in terms of age. But usually it comes with age. Because as you grow older, or as you're in this third dimensional reality here, when you're on this planet and you consider yourself a spiritual seeker, well, then you tend to spend the most part of your life doing that, figuring out what it's all about, why we're here. I'm sitting to the side a little bit here because I'm inviting you into my space here. I'm inviting you in to have a seat and let's just talk about stuff calmly. Let's be friends. Let's show a little human compassion and love for one another. Wherever we have been, we have all learned lessons in life. Doesn't mean one person's better than another because I practice shamanistic ways and I might know certain advanced techniques and ritual or hidden knowledge. That doesn't make me better. In fact, it lays a burden upon me for me to share this with you. Usually, in the mystery schools, when people learn things about life that kind of gave them a rudder and a leg up, so to speak, they didn't share this stuff because they figured if it gets into the wrong hands, then people will use it the wrong way. And they do, and they have. Problem is with that theory is that people, the dark ones, already know this stuff. They're what you call, let's call them skinwalkers, because a skinwalker is somebody that uses occult knowledge or hidden knowledge to do things that are not in accordance with the red road. And the red road is the good road. In the Bible they'd call it the narrow road. It's not an easy road to walk. But in my last video I was talking a little bit about what you put out, you get back. I mean, it's basically, if you want to boil it down, you reap what you sow. And mankind has sown something that is coming back now. But everything's a lesson. So I was talking about what you put out, you get back, right? And that's an energy level thing, okay? From a shamanistic point of view, from let's say an alchemist's point of view or a spiritual master's point of view, there's certain things that are realized. And these certain things that are realized are things like how everything works. Why we're here in the first place, how everything works. And the way things work for you as an individual might be different than how it works for me as an individual, but there are some basic spiritual laws that apply. And these laws have to do with breathing, basically. Because when you get right down to the basics of life, what is life? Well, life is a breath, or it's several breaths. But while you're in this reality, as you breathe in, you're breathing in energy from everything that is around you. And when I say breathing in, I don't just mean breathing in like breathing in oxygen. I mean breathing in the energy. It's called prana or chi. Prana would be the Hindu term. Chi would be the more Chinese term. Or you could just call it energy, or you could call it the spirit that moves in all things, if you're coming more from a Native American tradition. Native American tradition is deep. And I first started getting into Native American tradition when I found out that I had Native American blood in me. And when I found out that my great-great-grandmother was very much an indigenous person on a blood level. So, of course, being the spiritual seeker that I am, I had to delve into that part of it also. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't delved into all other kinds of spiritual traditions. I have studied deeply and meditated deeply and practiced deeply lots of different kinds of ritual and techniques and meditations and energy level manipulation, alchemy. It's all connected. But the Native American, the indigenous people knew this stuff a long time ago, and they practiced it, and they knew it, and they lived it. And they know all about energy, and they know about the spirit of the four directions. Sapa, Luta, Ki, and Ogagaska, the spirit of the four directions. And to add the other two cardinal directions, it would be Grandfather Sky and Grandmother Earth, Unsi Maka. They know about the ancient medicine men, elders, shamans. They all knew about the energy thing that's going on in the universe. So I'm going to get to a point that I really wanted to drill home today. Drive home, drill home, whatever. What you put out, you get back. What you put out, you get back. And so I was watching one of the truthers or one of the Patriot Movement people, and I was watching this person today, and like so many others, they're really dwelling on the negative. Dwelling on the negative. What they do is, some of these people is, and I can't understand why people get hooked into this, but I guess I can understand in a way. What they do is they come on and they immediately start beating the drum of doom and gloom and the apocalyptic thing. And that almost like they're in panic mode and we need to know every little thing that's going on in the world that's bad. You realize what that does to your psyche? And do they realize what that does to people's psyche? And do they realize how that contributes to a climate of fear? And what is fear? Well, fear is an emotion that the dark ones feed off of. I'll call them the skinwalkers. Right away they come on and first of all their title will be doom and gloom oriented. And then they'll sit on there and push their products a while to make money. I don't blame them. That's what they got to do to live. I'm not judging. I'm not a judgmental person. I don't care what they do to make a living. What I care about is what comes out of their mouth and what comes out of their heart and where they're coming from. I mean, if their heart is disturbed, it's called disturbed Shen in Chinese medicine, which I've studied. Because I was into the martial arts and Chinese philosophy, and so I always go things full hog and learn everything about it from one end to the other. Disturbed Shen means a disturbed spirit, a disturbed heart. And it's the same thing in Native American culture. Your Shen gets disturbed, your heart gets excited, and that affects your mind and your whole spirit, and your spirit gets excited. It's almost like the flight or fight syndrome, where you're just backed into a corner. You could consider it, what if you were in a dark alley and an assailant came up and you found yourself cornered. You'd want to run. Well, that's the flight and fight syndrome is part and parcel with post-traumatic stress syndrome. So when you're in this mode of putting out this intense emotion, this scared emotion, this I just want to get the fuck out of here emotion, what you're doing is you're putting energy out that the dark ones, not only did they create it, they feed off of it. They are predators. They love feeding off negative emotion. They love feeding off of the fear and the excitement and I'm all shook up and the panic and what are we going to do? And they not only propagate that through their modern means of communication, not only do they propagate that, but they feed off of it. It's all the same entity. It's all the same predator. So if you understand how the alchemical works, and I'm talking about the internal alchemy, and I'm talking about enlightenment, I'm talking about nirvana, I'm talking about samadhi, I'm talking about all kinds of things that are connected to this that lets you know how everything works, okay? This is all energy. And I've said that from day one. It's all about energy. That's kind of my mantra. It's all about energy. It's all about energy. It's all about energy. Remember that. Because that's important. It is all about energy. We are energy. This body, these sunglasses, this room, it's all energy. It seems solid, like the desk here, but it's not, because in between the molecules are spaces and spaces and atoms, and it goes on and on and on. It's nothing. There's nothing there. Well, then you say, well, how come I see a wall over there, or how come I see a chair? or a person. You take from the universe, the energy from the universe, it goes through you. Picture it coming in down through your head or through the back of your neck or even through your skin. You're taking in food, whatever, and you're taking in this energy. And as you're taking in this energy, it's nourishing your life force, okay? And your life force is none other than spirit. Slowed down, it's manifested as a body. So here you are, this little tiny bubble of God. You're a creator just like God is. Whatever you want to call God. I call God Great Spirit or the universal consciousness or whatever. Great Spirit. Wakan Tonka. Tukashila. Kichimanatu. Usen. All of these are different names used by different tribes, but it's all the same thing. It's that great mystery. And you have to know how that great mystery works. So since we are this bubble in the ocean of the great mystery, since we are part of it, we can't be not part of it. It has given us a creative awareness and a creative will to use as we see fit. And part of that will is the creation process. And as you create, it's as a man thinketh, so he is. You are creating your own world. Well, you might say, now I'm just anticipating questions like you're sitting here right next to me. Well, why would I create a world? I'm going to have a little sip off my beer here. I have one a day, maybe two sometimes. You might say, well, why would you? I didn't create this world. This world's horrific. This is horrible. Why would I create this kind of world? Look at all the shit that's happening. Well, you created it with others, okay? Because, and this is the answer to that question. We create the worlds that we live in as a collective consciousness. There's other spirits inhabiting this third dimensional plane and other dimensional planes as well, and they all affect one another. You created this world through the collective consciousness of other people that are in this same plane with you. And so as the collective consciousness maybe grows dark and dumbed down and concentrates more on war than love and peace, and does dastardly things in the name of goodness and democracy and whatever government prevails at the time, whatever flag prevails at the time. That's what the collective consciousness is about. Sometimes it's about nationalism, sometimes it's about communism, it's fascism. Just depends on what the puppet masters have propagated to the people, propagandized to the people, MK Ultra'd to the people. They mold the people. And the people develop mass psychosis and they die of mental side, okay? It's like genocide. They don't think anymore. And so this consciousness starts prevailing. But your consciousness may not be that consciousness. I mean, it's a part of it. But that's what separates enlightened masters, okay, or enlightened ones, or even awakened ones. When these people, truthers out there, talk about people waking up, that's a whole lot different than enlightenment, okay? Because waking up just could mean, you realize you've been screwed, so what do you do about it? But that doesn't give you true enlightenment by any means. True enlightenment is realizing how all this shit works. So, your world, you have some control over. You have control over the space around you, and you may have control for 100 miles around you, if you're strong. If you're really, really strong, if you're a master, you might affect the whole world. We actually, all of us do affect the whole world. We stir a little current out there, by our thoughts. Thoughts go on and on and on. That's why I'm not worried about having hundreds of thousands of people on my channel here, because even if 20 people or 80 people or 40 people, that's a lot of people. Imagine if they were all in this room right now. I don't think I could handle 25,000 people in my room. All right? Be careful what you wish for. Only those that are meant to hear this will hear it. Otherwise, it wasn't meant for them, I guess. So when an enlightened master or somebody that is very, very strong is here on earth, they can affect, and again, we're all enlightened masters if we want to be. We all have that power. We all have the power to change the reality that's around us. Okay? So if you say something like, well, look at the world out there, I didn't create this is a horrible mess. Did you hear what you just said to yourself? This is a horrible mess. That's an affirmation. It's a creation. So even though you may not agree with what's going on in the world, the way you overcome that is, like I said in my last video, is to be constantly processing, like a distillery, like those guys that made moonshine in the backwoods, the moonshiners, they distilled certain elements down into a fine liquor, hard liquor. What you got to do is distill all these elements down into a refined love. You could call that liquor love, or you could call it gold, because it's as good as gold. So when I go on and I see these people repeating things, you might even know who I'm talking about. I don't know if I really want to mention their name, but because it'll seem like I'm beating up on them then. And there's several of them, really, but they do the same thing. They come on and they read all the bad news, and then they give, and then in between every bad news they read, they say, see, I told you it was going to get worse. It's getting worse now. It's really getting bad now. Listen to those words. We're going to have a near-death experience. Things are going to get really, really bad. You're going to have to stock up on this and stock up on that and be prepared for this and be prepared for that. Then they'll read another bad news thing about what's going on out there. and after that they'll expound on that. They'll blow up. They'll get angry. They'll say all kinds of words that really don't help anything. It's just a venting, basically. And here's all these people out there watching them. And some of these people, I mean, they got thousands of people watching them. And these people are all chiming in. Either they're going, right on, you're the man or woman or whatever, or they're saying, Jesus will save us, or we just have to have faith that Trump will come back, or whatever president, or whatever they're placing their hope in. We have to have faith in. I mean, they put faith in man. Well, I learned a long time ago you can't put faith in man or any kind of manipulation coming from man. They have to prove themselves to me before I put my faith in somebody. So this is what I'm talking about. I'll get to that later about proving. Well, maybe I'll just do it now. I just don't want to lose my train of thought here. But we're talking about the mass consciousness. And we're talking about what all the little political machinations and games and religious games and Christ, Jesus Christ is my Savior, or no, you got to put your faith in this, or the aliens are coming and there's going to be good aliens and bad aliens, and there's all kinds of stories out there. But most of them have to do with some kind of panic mode. And some kind of fear mode, and some kind of I'm upset mode. Things aren't going to work out. Do you remember all those things I just said a few minutes ago about what those people say about it's getting worse, going to be a near-death experience? I even hate saying those words. How do those words make you feel? Those phrases? Do they make you feel good? They make you feel comfortable? They make you feel like empowered? Or do they strike fear? Be careful of what you buy into. Be careful of what you feed, what kind of energy you take into yourself and feed out to others. Because what you're doing is you're propagating and repropagating and repropagating. Instead of a money mill or something, you crank the lever and what comes out? Garbage in, garbage out. And the more garbage that you put out there, the more and more people are going to get upset, the more fear is going to be propagated. The more you're going to be on the edge of your seat, the more you're going to lose sleep, the more you're going to have post-traumatic stress syndrome, the more neurotic and psychotic you're going to get. Yes, we know that everything right now is... a lot of people are walking the black road and not the red road. We know that. If you're somewhat cognizant, don't think that things can't be turned around in a heartbeat. They will turn around in a heartbeat anyway, at some point, because that's the nature of the chaos that surrounds us, represented by the yin-yang sign, which is dark and light. And dark is what it is right now, and it's going to turn into light because it doesn't have any other choice. So if you want to look at it in that aspect of it, it doesn't matter if you get upset or paranoid or fearful or even to the point of death. It really doesn't matter, because it's going to turn to light anyway. We don't know exactly when it's going to flip. But be still, be meditative, and just the only thing that's going to make you, let's just say, make you feel better, make you feel good, okay? And good is an extension of the word God, make you feel God. The only way that you can do inner alchemy is to relax and breathe, because breathing is an ancient technique that is part of the inner alchemy. Again, it's not just breath you're bringing in, you're bringing in the energy, you're bringing in the whole world. Imagine that if you could move an object on a table over there away from you, and as you breathe in, you're pulling it into you. Well, that's what you're doing with the whole world. You're pulling in this object or these objects, okay? And as you pull these objects into you, they come back out again. It's a circular meditation that you don't even know you're doing. You're projecting out when you breathe out. So when you breathe out, it's like you're pushing something away from you, that glass of water on the table, that beer or whatever. You're pushing things out. You're creating. So when you take things in, you have to be a distillery, and you have to purify those things, dissolve the negativity, the bad energy, eat it up with inner alchemy and the fire within, the predator within, like I was talking about in my last video about the wolf medicine. You have to gobble that up, take it into you, and transmute it into pure gold or pure love. It's not easy at first, because you have to realize you have to make that transition from victim consciousness to predator consciousness. That's just part of nature. That's how nature works. You're either a predator or you're a prey. What do you want to be? Do you want to be a warrior, a spiritual warrior? Then you're going to have to act like one. You're going to have to try to grasp the things I'm saying. Because being a spiritual warrior is a lot different than being a victim. This is true with your own thoughts too, people. It's just like the story of the good wolf, the black wolf, and the white wolf. Which one do you feed more? Well, I mean, which one is going to take over? Well, whichever one you feed more. That's why you need balance. That's why you need balance. You can't do away with the dark wolf. You can't do away with the white wolf. They're both together, really. They're flip sides of the same coin. So you have to use both of the wolves. This is Thunder's realization, is that you have to merge the white wolf and the black wolf, okay? And when you do that, that's a form of distilling that energy, okay, and transmuting it, taking the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, And I'm finding out more and more and more and more as I live my life that that energy that comes out has to be love. It's rough. Nobody said that incarnating on this plane was going to be, easy. Now, see, even when I say that, it's going to be rough. That's conditioning. It doesn't have to be rough, really. See how I get caught up in that conditioning? But see, there's a difference when you get caught up in it and catch yourself. And there's a difference between that and just going on like you never knew. It's a constant de-brainwashing of yourself. That's perfect that I did that, because that's just a perfect example. It doesn't have to be rough. It doesn't. I think what I meant by that is maybe it's just not as easy as I would like it to be for people to experience wisdom and enlightenment, not have to live 60, 70 years to get to that point. You can't take it with you. Well, I take that back too. You can take it with you in your that's the only thing that you can take with you in your next incarnation. But while you're here on this plane, you should dispense that information, like I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to impart the wisdom that I've gained. I'm just scratching the surface here. When you let that love flow through you, then that's when you really start becoming God. You become one with God, because God is love. And I know, I can hear you talking. It's like I don't even need to have, I tune right into what people are thinking before they even think it. You're saying, oh man, it's just so hard to love some people. It's hard to love these evil fuckers out there that are doing this stuff. How could I even think about loving them? Well, it depends on how you look at the situation, and I touched on it in my last video, is that love is a weapon. So this will help you get over that hurdle. It can be a weapon. It's a two-edged sword. It's the sword of the spirit. And love is a pure emotion of wanting the best for everything overall, for mankind overall, the best feeling, the best circumstances. So what do you think happens, and I touched on this in my last video, when you send out, this is going to help you get over, I'm just clarifying here, because people think, man, I don't know what love is, I can't, it's a horrible world, I just can't love anymore. All the love's gone from me. All I have is hate, bitterness, and vengeance, and wanting to kick ass. Love is a weapon. And you don't make it a weapon, they do. So there's no fear of like, well, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing enough, or whatever when I send out love. Whatever you want to feel, whether it's a weapon or a healing thing, it doesn't really matter, because love is a pure emotion. And when you send that out, when it hits somebody that's evil, and when it hits somebody that's manipulative and trying to take advantage of you or put one over on you or ruin you or harm you or kill you, when that love energy, and that's a different kind of energy, when you put that out there and it hits these people, it's so foreign to their perverse energy or their reverse energy or whatever you want to describe their energy as, unbalanced energy, that love energy hits them like a sword. It cuts them right to the center. Because they are off kilter. They're not, because love is balanced. Okay? So when you put out love, not only does the love that you put out help good people because they're open to love and they like that feeling, and it's like, oh yeah, love. Wow, I haven't felt that since I was born. To be truly loved unconditionally. Wow, that feels good. That lifts my spirits. That lifts my frequency. I'm for that. Give me more. That's what good people that have a good heart, they feel. The other ones that have a dark heart, they're not going to feel that. It's going to stop them in their tracks. It's going to stop that dark energy. And if you just put out a little bit of love, and if you try to remember that all the time, hey, I'm breathing in the universe and I'm breathing out love. Almost like you have to have a don't give a shit attitude in a way, to put it in slang terms, about what the fuck's going on out there in the world. You don't need to know everything. All you got to do, like I said in my last video, is feel. If you're an empath and you're on a very high level, you feel the energy. And it's hitting you. And what do you do as a shaman? Well, what you do is you go, hit me, baby. Hit me. Give me more of it. Because I'll use all that energy that you're giving me that you think is going to hurt me, and I'm going to transmute that energy, and I'm going to be a warrior of light, and I'm just going to shove it right back out with my next breath out. In, out. It's just like Tai Chi. When you go back, in, push out. It's like any martial art. Breathe in, push out, okay? Or encircle your enemy, bring them into your circle, and catapult them out, like in Aikido. Blending with the energy, blend with it. It's like when you ride a wave. It's like when you're a downhill skier. It's like if you're taking off on a wave and you're a surfer, you see that energy coming in the form of a wave. And you time it so that when you paddle into that wave, you're blending with the energy. And then when the energy starts getting intense and making the wave break, you're in the tube riding down the side of the wave and letting it push you, and you're blending with it. You don't turn around and try to fight a wave. It's impossible. So you have to blend with that energy. And then what happens when you're a surfer, let's say, and you blend with that energy? You're using that energy for your own purposes, your fun. You're creating your own energy. You're using your energy and you're creating a fun thing, and you're directing yourself, and you know right where you're going, and you know right when to kick out of a situation. So that's what you have to do, people. I really wanted to clarify this whole energy thing today. When you're meditating, when you're breathing, when you're doing alchemical things, think of yourself as Merlin, the wizard. Think of yourself as whatever the way you want to picture yourself. You're a magician, you're Merlin, you're a medicine man, you're a shaman. Don't just sit around in life and be a victim. Don't do that. And when you're watching all these people out there that are in this and that, and patriot movement and anti-patriot movement and blah, 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 on, and this is going to happen, that's going to, look out, man, it's getting, okay. You know what? You're contributing to the downfall of whatever you're hoping will survive. Keep pumping out that love energy, and if nothing else, you'll survive, or you'll go out in a love vibe. I mean, what the hell better way to go with a love vibe? Because then you've won. They lost. Just by the fact that you didn't give in to the fear and the anxiety and the fear porn and the political agendas and the religious agendas, and this person's on that side. And I mean, I'm telling you, the alternative media is as bad as the mainstream media it's getting to be. Because they don't sit down like this. I consider this a fireside chat here without the fire, you know. Maybe I'll do a live stream one of these days and actually take questions. I think I've said enough today, maybe. Just wanted to clarify those points. Don't want to beat a dead horse here, so I'll just leave it there. Adios.